Hello. Today I want to talk about what I think is the most important lesson any songwriter can learn. If you only ever watch one video that I ever make, it should be this one, because this is a lesson I constantly fail to abide by. And it's this: only ever write music to please yourself. 100% of the time. Now, I'm not talking about if you're a professional musician writing a score for a film soundtrack. That's a different thing. I'm talking about the artistic, creative process, writing a song as a musician. And in many respects, this actually ties into... Now, I've never made a penny out of selling my music, so I can't speak from a commercial perspective. I've read and have watched enough interviews with some of the world's most successful songwriters who absolutely, to a person, say that they write music for themselves. Every time they try to chase the money train, it goes horribly wrong. It's perfectly okay to have money as a goal. In the Dark Side of the Moon documentary, one of the most commercially successful pieces of music ever recorded, the band members quite freely state, with absolutely no compunction, we wanted to be rich and famous. But the music didn't pander to that at all, one iota. There's nothing commercial about that music. It went on to be commercially monstrous, but it's really very obvious that they didn't write it with the intention of being rich and famous. They wanted to be rich and famous, but they maintained absolute artistic integrity. So I want to talk about that concept today. I think it's really fascinating, and it's in the context of a conversation I had with Pauline last night about Monster. So I've had to dredge up this version of the project from yesterday because I've actually overwritten it today, and all I want to focus on for the purpose of this discussion is the ride and hi-hat sounds in the song, and I'm just going to kind of set it running and kind of leave it running in the background. And here is the ride line that we're talking about. See all these gaps? I've got no idea why those gaps are there. What they do is make the rhythm more complicated. Here's a big one. Here's another one over here. There's just random gaps. Now, I think when I was composing the rhythm that I wanted just complexity for the sake of it. I like complex rhythms. I enjoy listening to drummers play complex rhythms. Check out Indiscipline by King Crimson, one of my favourite drum pieces of all time, and it's just utterly monstrous. So that's the version of the song as it was last night, and it was wrapped around quite a few other changes that we're not going to discuss in today's episode because that's not the point. But one of the things that Pauline said when she listened to me play it to her last night after I'd made the edits, she'd never actually listened to the entire song as a whole. She'd only listened to the parts where there are vocals, and when there aren't vocals, I actually switch time signatures from 6/4 triplet time, swing time, to 6/4 straight time. And this kind of backwards and forwardsing between the two rhythm styles didn't sit well with her brain. She said she wasn't able to follow the rhythm, and because the rhythm was kind of cluttered, that she wasn't able to really kind of get into the song. She didn't know where the groove was. So here I have a piece of criticism. The rhythm's too complicated. My initial reaction was, well, that was my artistic decision and I'm not going to change it. This morning I listened back to the song and I heard those holes in the ride for absolutely no reason at all, adding complexity to a song that didn't need it. The rhythm was already complicated enough with what was going on with the kick and the snares and the toms. So the hats and ride actually do want to provide a far more stable background, some kind of consistency. And having come to this conclusion, I couldn't fix the BFD rhythm at all. I just decided not to even try. I threw it away. And I switched to Groove Agent instead. So listen to how much more consistent it is. So because there's no BFD there, I can just play the cymbals themselves, because that's actually all that Groove Agent is contributing to the sound. But now it's just absolutely consistent. We have this interesting contrast between the bell and the bow, which is cool and really interesting. But that's just a much more stable foundation upon which to lay the song, or to lay the rhythm. This perfectly illustrates the first of the points that I want to make about, to thine own self be true. When somebody gives you some constructive criticism of your music, try to identify the difference between a mechanical observation and a structural one. If somebody is saying the guitar line is hiding the vocals, was it a conscious decision on my part to record the guitar pretty loud and to have them in the same space as the vocals? If so, stick to your guns. Option 2, you haven't considered it, but you like it. So you think, well, I've never really considered the interaction between those two instruments before. I'll listen to them. Yes, they are in the same space, but no, I don't agree with your opinion, and I'm going to stick to my guns. Option 3, you've never considered it, and they're right. And in that case, that's a mechanical observation made about your songwriting process, highlighting something that you haven't considered and that needs to be fixed. So the phrases, the terms that I've chosen to use to distinguish those two attributes are this concept of mechanical and structural. That was a mechanical observation made about the song. There is something wrong about it. If it's that way as a structural intent, then stick to your guns. There is one other possibility, which is that you have considered it, but you're wrong. You've considered it, but when you go back and listen to it again, maybe after several hours of work on the song and the landscape has changed, now that thing that you previously decided was good no longer is. I had previously thought about it and I did used to like it that way, but now I don't. And it's not because I've been unduly influenced by this person's opinion. I'm making the decision myself and I'm actually in agreement with them. I was wrong. I'm going to change it. Now that is incredibly difficult to identify, because if the prime directive is to thine own self be true, and it turns out that you're wrong and somebody's opinion causes you to change your opinion, then you need great strength of personal reflection to identify that you're doing that for the right reasons. This is something at which I am absolutely terrible. I take opinions about my music really personally when they're not intended to be. I jump to conclusions, exactly like what happened last night. Pauline made a perfectly reasonable observation that was, in part, I agree with. And this is why it's such a good test case for the current discussion, because her overall impression, which was that she was kind of confused by the switching between triplet time and straight time, I chose to stick with my original intent in that respect, and I won't be changing that aspect of the song. But when reviewing the complexity of the thing as a whole, pulling the rhythm out and saying, right, is there anything about it that's unnecessarily complicated, then I find things that, you know what, I don't know why that's there and I don't like it there, and if I do this thing it's going to be better, and the rhythm is now better with the new hats in. So Pauline's observation directly led to an improvement in the song. There's another category of influence that you need to be very cautious about as well, and this is technical opinion, technical advice from an expert. And in the case of the example I'm going to give you for this problem, the expert is actually a piece of software. So when I was mixing Snowfall, I sent it through tonal balance control in the isotope suite, and it told me that I had way too much bass and way too little treble. And so right at the very end of the mixing process, when I was basically ready to render the final output file, I just arbitrarily chopped a load of bass off the bass guitar and the drums, and anything I could find that had bass. I just kind of just did a general song-wide trimming, and with the higher frequencies I picked, the vocals and a couple of the guitar lines and just boosted them. Once I'd uploaded the song and had a couple of days to reflect and didn't listen to it, come back, listen to it again a couple of days later, didn't like it. I've not mixed the song to a state that I actually like. Now that's really, really annoying. That's just downright plain stupid. It's okay to listen to expert opinion, and in this case the algorithmic outputtings of a piece of software, but it could have come from a technical expert listening to it and saying there's too much bass, not enough treble. But don't just hack and slay. Figure out what's wrong with your song. Why is there too much bass? Why is there not enough treble? Go back, do your own critical analysis. Basically accept the opinion, say thank you very much, take it away, and then do your own due diligence. Study the thing yourself, listen to it, make your own opinion. You've got a new piece of input. Now put it through your own computer, your own brain. If it comes out that you're able to, once again, with this difficult self-control of not just bowing to the expert opinion and forming your own opinion, but if you come out saying, you know what, yeah, I do need to fix this, get your feet in there and actually fix it. But don't do it blindly, don't do it ignorantly, and don't do it submissively. You've got to be your own master. The final aspect in which I think it's essential to be true to yourself is with the construction of the song itself. And the example that I'm going to quote here is from a brand new piece of music that I'm just working on at the moment called Borderline. And as if by magic, Borderline appears. There's a section in this song that when I first started One Man and His Songs would not have been here. I've just left the bass running. Let's turn it down a bit. That is 40 bars of pretty much consistent bass. That's going to be a bed upon which I'm going to noodle. There are various guitar parts that are in prototype form at the moment that will come in. I don't know. The whole point is that it's a marker, it's a placeholder for some extended noodling. So we've gone from 1 minute 32 to that's 1.5 minutes of noodling. That's quite a lot of noodle. Over that time, I'm going to have great fun. That's just going to be awesome. That's the kind of thing that I love to do, to just really vibe out on a piece of music and see where it goes and have the freedom to take my time to explore whatever musical motifs are going to come out, a nice big long rambling solo perhaps, who knows, but having the confidence to say, you know what, this is what I want to write, this is the music that I want to write. And if you do that at every single stage, every time you're ever faced with a decision as to which direction to take a piece of music in, do the one that makes you happiest. And whoever likes that music is going to really like it because they're going to see that it's got some authenticity and integrity about it. And the majority of people who don't like it, because you've not tried to pander to anybody's expectations, it's not the end of the world. So this is very much a declaration of intent. This little 1.5 minute noodle section in Borderline is the first time I've done this in any of the songs that I've worked on One Man and His Songs up to date, and it's going to be a sign of the future. I'm going to write the music that I love absolutely without reservation. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it's just the most difficult thing to do. It is an absolute minefield, identifying the things that you're supposed to listen to and take heed of, your mechanical problems, but having complete faith in your own kind of structural integrity. You know, as a musician, as a songwriter, I'm just going to do exactly what makes me happy. And then if somebody has some criticism for me, I'll listen to it and decide for myself whether or not there's anything in there for me to take lessons from. So there you go. The most important thing I will ever say about the songwriting process, that is the number one rule. So thanks very much for watching this one. If you liked it, then please consider subscribing. If you hit notifications, and you find out when the rest of my material comes out, and I hope to see you then.